a little bit about my background and about how I came to start this portfolio business from scratch. I'm 37. Recently, I'm an Israeli. I have a 6-year-old. I am in a divorce process. I live in Brooklyn at the moment, but I'm planning on moving back to Tel Aviv soon. And my background is I used to be a personal chef before I started about a decade ago. I have moved with my then partner to the US from Israel. And I had to start my life from scratch. We moved for his job and we moved to San Francisco area. And that transition to California was a really huge relocation, such a different country than Israel. And I had decided to start a business as a personal chef there because I was just a year before I finished culinary school in Paris. I was starting to grow a small pop-up kitchen business in Tel Aviv, and while I was working part-time as a QA engineer in a tech company. So moving to SF, I decided to drop the QA and start my own personal chef business from scratch in the new country and surrounding. I was really into sharing my love for food. I wanted to do creative, innovative dinner parties, kind of a communal experiences, and can try new things. And I started building this business slowly, and while learning everything I can on how to start a small business in California, how to find clients, how to go on finding sourcing the different vendors for my ingredients, and finding staff, good staff that can help me. I found communities for chefs in the area, for small business owners, for women in business. And I started that really growing slowly for 6 years. And during these 6 years, my business had come through this kind of an evolution. I started a brand with a website. I built everything myself. The business was called Le Couloir. I focused finally on dinner parties and workshops that I used to do in the client's house and in my own space that we moved to. And I was doing a lot of team building events. So it was a lot of culinary experiences for small groups. And finally, I also started a food tour, a guided food tour in the neighborhood that we used to live in the inner Richmond in San Francisco. I absolutely loved this neighborhood, and I loved having people and guiding them through this really magical stretch of streets that in the center of the neighborhood. And this guided food tour started organically and grew really well. And that was the most part of my services that I was providing. And still with this kind of business, even after 6 years of growing it slowly, I just about broke even. And I think I remember the beginning of 2020, I was thinking about this year is going to be the year that I'm finally going to earn some more substantial money, and I would finally be in a trajectory to where I was trying to build. So then 2020 happened and the pandemic hit, and my business took a big hit. Having a business that's solely have to do with a lot of people in small spaces I had to stop providing all the services for a few months until I had to decide what to do with my business. So I tried to kind of pivot into the virtual cooking class. That was kind of starting to grow around early 2020, but I found that it was not what I wanted to do, and the meaning was to build a whole new product that I was not. Um, it wasn't my product. I didn't want to do it. I didn't feel like that's what I signed up for. So I stopped that and I had to rethink everything. And around that time, we were living in San Francisco, and for 6 something years. And my business was local, community based, and had a word of mouth reputation. And this whole thing kind of kept us in the city, even though we had nothing else to kind of bind us to that city in particular. So the pandemic really was the reason to reconsider if we want to live there. The city was also kind of sad, everyone in their houses, and it didn't feel like it's worth the expense of living in such a expensive city without enjoying what it can offer. And so, especially when I decided to close my business and start a new business, that was one of the factors to move, because I didn't have to stay there for the business anymore. So, with that plan to move, I was trying to plan starting a new business. And for me, it was a no-brainer to decide that I'm not going to go back to doing that personal chef business again in a different place.